runway to lane 1 for on-time departure.
All right, thank you. Enjoy flight.
Last flight to Gainesville.
Let's go.
Then we're at Bear HQ. Gonna meet up with Neil.
Going to Gator Country.
Can you actually toss this up? You want me to toss this up top?
Yeah.
Alright, thank you. Any last words? Landowners, baby. February 22. It's happening. Wow. What's the word, Tom? Landed in Gainesville. We're here for a quick trip, but we're gonna shoot some of the new compound stuff, but the main reason we're here is to see the work that Neil's done for our trad bow project. Nate's been practicing on a different bow all summer. We're excited to finally get this one in hand. Kind of see the process. He's got it all staged out. He's got a couple models done, so it's gonna be awesome to finally see that. I'm anxious as hell to shoot that thing. Just kind of see how it feels in the hand. I've been putting in so many reps with my Kodiak back home and just in the backyard, at the range and at the 80, shooting non-stop. So I just want to kind of have the real deal that I can practice with. So fall is cranking down on us. It's August 14th right now. I mean, about a month till the Kansas opener, 2 weeks for Nebraska. So it's do or die. Super excited to see these bows. Obviously with the collab with Bear, Stihl, and us, there's a sweet silk screen. That's what they call that little logo deal, right? It's a cool silk screen on there with the collab and just unique. So we're anxious. We're gonna have some time to be able to chat with Neil, who is doing a lot of behind the scenes work for these bows. He is an artist, he's a craftsman. He knows traditional archery as good as anyone, in my opinion. And he's been putting in just a lot of time on these bows. He's been working on them since March. Yeah, at least like almost 6 months. So can't thank him enough for doing all the work he's already done and the work that he will still continue to do. We're gonna have quite a few bows out of this deal. We did send him more Osage, some more hedge, some different materials so that he can make a few more bows than we were anticipating. So, but yeah, he's been clocking in the hours, and we're super grateful that he has been able to do that for us, because he's a busy guy. So he's the last guy that works at Bear that worked directly under Fred. Kind of cool. So.
Yeah. Can I put you on hold?
All right, guys. Well, this is episode 2 of our Bear Archery project. If you haven't watched episode 1 already, go watch that. Basically, what we've done already is we've selected trees, Osage trees and hickory trees off of our property in Kansas. We cut them, we sent them to the mill, they got milled, they were kiln dried. Thomas cleaned them up a little bit, and then they were sent down here to Gainesville, Florida, the headquarters for Bear Archery. And Neil Bice has been already putting in a bunch of effort just designing them, and then they're also spread out along the floor getting put together. So we're going to go through the whole process today of from the beginning to a finalized bow, so that you guys can see the process that Neil's been working on for this bow. But yeah, that's kind of what's been going on so far, and we're going to jump into it today.
Scouting any deer, seeing anything?
We've got some big ones on camera in Kansas.
Do you?
So.
This is the Osage that you guys sent us, and it's been planed. He squared it up. It's been planed to the thickness that he needs to cut it. He's marked out an area right here where it's going to become this.
Got it.
There's getting all the burrs off it so that when we lay it on when we put it in the duplicator. Now this is ready to be duplicated to give us our grip shape. So we'll put it on the copy machine, so that what that does is it allows us to make sure that all of our grips for the 59 Kodiak start the same. Now all of them are hand worked and hand sanded after that, so every one of them is hand finished. And then once we're done with that, then this would be feathered down to where it's like a real feather on the end, so that it's got a good blend. Here he's loading it in the, like I said, the duplicator machine. You know, this is a piece of equipment that was actually came from grailing. So it was implemented in grailing in the 1960s, both this machine and this machine. And again, what it basically does is we make a master. The master looks pretty rough, but it's a larger size, and then it has cutters that are on this that spin, and then there's a wheel that's right there that follows the master and gives this the basic shape that we would want to start with when we are making a 59 Kodiak. You have the kit?
I have the kit.
Okay. So this is the press that we're going to mold it in. You can feel it's warm now. So what he's going to do is he's got the kit. He's going to take this. He's going to glue it up. Okay. Yeah. So let's go ahead and glue it up. You can see he glued that side. He's going to lay it there. Then he's going to take a piece of the hickory and lay the hickory on that. You can see the inside of the bow is marked. So typically what we do is when we do something with clear fiberglass is we want to take the grain of the wood and what one we think looks the best to be on the exterior of the bow. So, you know, to give the bow more character, or as much character as you can get out of a piece of wood that's being used in this process. So. We don't like to have too much glue, but not enough is always a detriment. So you always want to make sure you have enough glue on your bow. So now he's laying it on the kit. And then he's going to put release paper, which one side is waxed so that it won't stick to the bow. Now he's going to take and put the bow in the press. Now this press is heated to a specific degrees that we've determined, and we also have timers on the press now where we know that we want this model in the press a certain number, a certain amount of time. And now he's going to take and put some release paper on the top. Depending on some of the materials that we're using, they can take more or less time in the press. Again, these presses, these actual presses were designed by Mr. Bear and his engineering team back in the late 50s, early 60s. And they've been using these presses, and these came from Grayling also. So we've made some modifications to them, to the heat sensors, just the technology as it changed. You know, once they hit their time, the airbag gets, what he does, he puts it in there and it comes down below these dogs and it squeezes it, and then these come forward and then they lock under this. That gives the material, the operator, room to make sure that all the materials are lined up properly. And once he makes sure they're all lined up properly, then he'll hit the airbag, which will put a certain amount of pressure along the whole bow that's even along the complete bow. And then once he feels that that's good, then it goes on the time, and then he'll put the handle heater down because that section has got a larger mass. So we want to keep it warm around that and keep that area around the riser glued up. And then once it hits a certain amount of time, the actual airbag will release, the press will open so that it's not in the heat longer than it should be. Then he'll take it out of the press. Thanks, Harold.
Thank you.
Just get some of the dust off it. We make a lot of dirt in here. So here's the bow now that it's come out of the press. You can see that the hickory is showing through the clear glass really nice. You can see the Osage orange. But as you can tell, there's a lot of work left to this bow. It's got its basic shape, and now we use a couple machines to aid us in the process. But what we'll do is, the next thing will be we'll have to cut it. We'll start gluing the tips on. We'll glue caps on. We'll run it through a machine. Everything's good. You ready?
Yes, sir.
All right. Let's show them how to.
Just let everybody go.
So this is where we have a template here where we put the bow on, and that we can mark the bow so that we're cutting it to the right length every time. So that process, and then what he'll do is he'll come over to this bandsaw. It's got a special blade on it, and he'll cut the tip to length. And now you can see that we've trimmed all that glue off. We've narrowed the bow down some, but yet it still has a lot of work to go on it. Now the next operation we've changed. We used to have a big router that we would route out the sight window, but because we wanted that location to be precise and in the same place every time, what we wanted to start with is we're using a CNC machine. We still have somebody hand filing the area of the grip and everything, so it can be off from bow to bow just a few thousandths, but for the most part, they're cut on the same line every time. Will? Oh yeah. Yeah, that's some healthy stuff right there. Well, you got that one had like double fork.
A bunch of splits. There's a super typical deer here.
Wow. Yeah.
We passed both of these deer last year, and they just both stuck around.
Nice. So that's a 10.
Yep.
A 10 plus.
Yeah.
Them are nice.
Those are good ones.
Yeah.
These bows are gonna cut the hurting on.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, I'll be looking forward to seeing some pictures.
Yeah.
Thanks, Will. So here you can see that we've cut the window out, so we know that this shelf, in correlation to where the grip was cut on the Richardson, is in the same place every time. So it gives us a really, really good starting point. Now we're going to go over and glue on the cap and the tips. Thanks, Will. So you can see that he's buffed this area lightly so that glue will adhere onto it. So he has some materials. On this particular one, it'll get a piece of black glass, a piece of white glass, and for highlight, it'll have a piece of hickory that you all provided from your property. So he's mixing up the glue. This is hand gluing, and then we have a press that'll actually, we'll put it in, and it has a little bit of heat to it, and it'll spend some time in there. He's gluing on, you can see we already glued on the tip on this one end, okay? Now we're gonna glue the tip on the other end also. So he's just putting the glue on, because both of them, when he puts them in the press, will go pretty quick. So the black glass goes to the bow, and then the white glass goes in between the black and the hickory, and then it goes on the, then it'll be glued on the tip. And like much of the other equipment, these tip presses came from Grayling also. So these were a design of Mr. Bear. We've done some slight modifications, temperature controls, higher density rubber to help us apply the product right and get the right pressure when we're pushing the tips on and everything, or gluing them on. So, but other than that, those are Mr. Bear's design and his engineering team that he had in Grayling. So here's the bow now that the cap is glued on it and the tips are glued on it. So we're gonna give it to the bowyer, and we're gonna actually have him, you know, start rough shaping the riser. He'll get rid of all this excess material, smooth this stuff out, and get some trimming done to it. And then once he gets beyond that, he'll do cable lineup, which will actually start making it get closer to what the bow will look like when it's done. So here you can see he's got this basically down to the rough shape. When you feel it, it feels pretty close. He's still going to run a 1-inch wheel in here to kind of bring this out. And of course, you can still see there's a lot of work left on it, but again, it's got it pretty close. Yep. And now he'll put it in this machine, and it'll actually make indicator marks where we want to cut the string knots when we hand file the string knots. The key here is the individual, in this case, Ted needs to make sure he's filing it to where it's nice and radius, but also that he leaves the reveal and the overall length of the tip when it's finished to match the other end of the overall tip. So what we'll do is we'll have him finish this tip, and then we'll have him go to the arrow rest shelf. This operator will take and finish both tips, and then he'll also do the arrow rush shell. So now he's hand stringing it out to make sure that it's nice and clean and soft for the string to fit on so that it doesn't wear the string. Make sure that there's a little bit of reveal of the other material and everything. When he files that, he has to go with the grain of the bow. Otherwise, if he's filing away, it will actually chip out the wood. So you can see where the tip finisher Ted did the Y grooves on both the face, the back of the bow here is the tip where he's feathered them all out, put the Y groove on the back, and then of course he's finished the arrow rest shelf here and got it ready for the next stage, which is tiller the bow, weigh the bow, and what we call Vonnegut, get it ready for paint. Checking it to see if it's still straight. Make sure something hasn't happened since, it was pin sanded. Test pull the bow. It has a scale on it, the digital scale. Then he's going to check the tiller, which is the bend ratio from the top limb to the lower limb, which we set all of our bows at a positive tiller. Upper limb bends more than the lower limb, and if it isn't in the correct, he'll take a little bit off to make sure it's where it needs to be. That's the actual weight of the bow, 56.
What's he putting on in there?
Huh?
What's he putting on in there?
That is just a cleaner. It's a cleaner called Prep-All that we use to make sure that we're looking to make sure there's no rough edges. When he's wiping it down there, if there's like a snag or something, it'll want to cut your cloth and stuff. But he also can see what the quality of the lamination is at that point. So appreciate it. So now we have a bow that we're going to take over to the paint department and get it sealed and then painted to first coat of paint. It's amazing that you go, from a piece of wood to your kit and everything, and then it gets glued up, And then typically what we do is we mold today and we machine tomorrow. So we like it to be in the press, and we'd like it to set for and cool down naturally a certain number of hours, and we don't like to rush that process. But then the next day we're able to, you know, take it all the way through the process. So up to paint. Paint takes a couple days. So okay. You guys excited about this?
Oh yeah.
You getting the footage you want, or?
Yeah. No, this is perfect. Yeah.
Good, good. So at this operation, we do what we call a hand sealer. And what we try to do is we put this on there, and it basically helps seal some of the pores. It's not 100% magic, but it sure helps a lot. She's using a cleaner to make sure that the riser's clean and it doesn't have a lot of dust on it or anything. So, and then once that's kind of dried, she wipes it off. And then what she does, she applies the sealer to the areas that have wood. You can see it kind of brings out the luster in the wood too. What that sealer does is it kind of gets down in the pores, and it helps it adds the luster to the finish. But then also what it does is you have, when you put a first coat of paint on something, it'll actually raise up like some of the wood grain and stuff like that. So what we're trying to do is take care of that before we put the first coat of paint on, so that once we spray it, we don't have to take as much paint off. So, you know, some of it is just, you know, finite finishing and trying to achieve the best finish and the best looking product. All right, ready for paint. You can see that this all got cleaned out, you know, the sealer got cleaned off. But if you feel that right there, you can feel that it's a pretty nice finish on it as it goes. So, okay. You ready?
Ready.
So he's going to go inside the room there. He's going to turn it on and everything. You know, we hand spray. When you look at it, we're hand spraying. You know, let's say we're going to finish 100 bows a day. Well, you know, to get to 70, 80 bows a day or 100, you have to at least spray 100 for sealers, and then, you know, generally there's a second coat and then there's a third coat. Yeah. So you have to spray 300 bows a day if you're doing 100. Because you have to hold it in your hand and, you know, do the shape of it and everything, spraying bows is not like spraying a car. So you have to learn how to hold the gun, but also in some cases you're actually holding the part, and you got to make sure, you know, it's not. Tamayo's been painting for us close to 10 years, so, you know, he's learned that pretty well. He's actually got it down pretty good, and he can do the first coat, you know. So typically what we do, it looks good, doesn't it? Yeah. Okay. I'll just leave that here, okay? So, here, let me see it for a second. I'll just say, now the bow's been painted, it's through the first coat of paint, and what has to happen is we need to drill it for our medallion, for our Bear medallion, and then it'll be completely dry sanded, and then we'll take it over and have it silk screened with the logos and serialized, and then it'll go in for paint again. So here, Carol will drill the coin. We have a machine that's set up for specifically doing all the different bows. We have fixturing for all the different bows. And here you can see that we've basically used a special bit so that it does the coin the right size, and it also gets the depth correct, basically by how we're actually utilizing the machine. Now Carol will dry sand the bow. On the edge of the bow. So overall, when you look at these bows and you look at the, you know, we use equipment to help aid us, but if you look at how much handwork is in every one of these bows, they truly are handmade one at a time. Each one is finished. Each operator looks at different aspects of it. No, it's not one person completing the bow itself, but nonetheless, you have darn near every piece of it being handwork. So she's mixing up the type of glue that we use on this, and we're going to put a copper medallion in these Osage bows, which really blends well nice with the hickory. And she sets that square and pushes it in, and you can see that it's nice and flush with the bow. And most every one of them come out pretty darn nice. All right, we'll just follow T. Thank you, Carol. Good job.
Yeah, thank you.
Like always. First coat on this, he's gonna, you know, mask up. He's got his paint all mixed up. But what he's doing on this final coat is he will actually be a little more careful on it as far as when he's spraying down the sides. He'll try to get a nice even coat on the part, and hopefully once he's done spraying it, it'll be, once it dries, it'll be ready to send to inspection for final approval. So here's the bow that's come out of finish paint, and it's ready for inspection. So every bow that comes out of finish paint, once it's deemed as being done, complete, it goes through QC. We have a QC people that work in the facility that only do QC. Their main jobs are inspecting incoming products, inspecting finished goods products, inspecting what we would call work in process steps, to make sure the product is good at certain steps through the facility. So Brian is he's the #1 inspector for traditional bows, and so he's going to be performing that inspection duty.
First, we're just looking for any kind of blimps, pinholes, glue lines, making sure the silk strings are where they're supposed to be and not blurry of any kind. No grooves. Make sure the coin's in the right spot, serial number on there. And after we do that, got to string her up. Use a test strings so we don't ruin any of the good strings. Check still. And weight check. What's that done? And it's good to go.
Here you go, Yen. So what she'll do is she's gonna put the strike plate and the arrow rest on.
Yep. Awesome.
And there you have a 59 Kodiak made from Osage orange and hickory, farmed by Nathan and Thomas off of their property into a complete bow here at Bear Archery.
From Kansas to Gainesville and in the box, ready to go. Pretty awesome. What do you think, man? You don't seem excited. Oh, I'm pumped. I mean, I want to shoot it so bad. I'm just ready to, I'm in rep mode. Like, give me this thing, let me set it up, let me just start shooting because season's like so close. But gosh, today was perfect. I mean, got to see the whole process and everything. So it's honestly insane to have just pieces of wood from the Kansas 80 and all over this factory here in Gainesville that they're handcrafting into these bows. I mean, I never thought a tree from our property would be turned into a beautiful piece of art. So
Tree never thought that either.
yeah, tree never did either. But all I want to do is get to 10 yards of an absolute Kansas giant and just shoot him in the heart. So let's do it.
Stay good.
How'd you like it?
Stay good.
Went right over that blue post over there. Should be fine. Which one? The one by... The one right over there. No. We caught a quick 9, you know? So the airport's like a quarter mile that way. Keep that front left straight and just whack on that. Quick little interview. Well, quick trip. Return the rental car back to Lincoln. First flight's an hour and a half, so good time in Gainesville though.